Smith is an interesting story because she was once before the leader of the Wildrose Party, which was really on the move. I mean, you know a little something about that. You former legislator yourself. And it was, I mean, you know much more than me, and maybe you can speak a little to it. I don't know if it was panic or a shortcut or people whispering in her ear, but she did the most astonishing thing I can think of. Without consulting members or voters or anything, she struck a secret deal to undo the Wildrose opposition and throw in with the red Tory progressive conservative government and say, we're all one anymore. You don't need an opposition party. You never really did. Let's all win this together. It wasn't just undoing the Wildrose Party. It was undoing the entire democratic notion of an opposition. Oh, we don't need two sides of the story. We can all agree. People want disagreement. They want that clash of ideas. I think that was a stunning, stunning error. And not only did it destroy the PC party of Alberta and the Wildrose, but it didn't destroy the Wildrose, it weakened it.
It nearly destroyed it briefly.
Yeah, and it put Rachel Notley, the NDP, in power because she was the only one not sullied by the whole thing. Mm-hmm. That's how it looked on the outside. Tell me a little bit more about what you knew about that. And how did Danielle Smith make such a shocking and undemocratic decision?
You know, so this was December 20, I think it was December 17th, 2014. I'll remember. It was a day that'll live in infamy for me. Yeah. I was working in this very building, actually, just a number of floors up. I just started a new job as the vice president of the Oil Drillers Association. And I couldn't believe it. I started getting phone calls and whatnot before the news broke, but I couldn't believe it. It was the most outrageous, crazy thing imaginable. I started making phone calls around, and then it started to smell real bad. Look, there's a number of things. I think she had lost confidence in herself. They had lost a series, 4 by-elections that Wildrose thought they were going to win at least one. They got beaten in all 4. She had some floor crossings, including one who was a very close friend of hers, Carrie Toll. This was a key ally of hers in caucus and a personal friend. You know, and then there behind the scenes had been a lot of there was a move by some senior members of her caucus to defect to the PC's apprentice. From what I know, she was largely presented with a fait accompli, where it's like, well, we're going to go, you should come with us, and you'll look like you're leading the charge, and you'll be a part of what we're going to build on the PC side. And I think by then she had just lost confidence in herself and made the most incredibly terrible political decision I think has ever been made possibly in the country to go. And it, I mean, it was packaged as we're uniting conservatives, but the NDP, remember, was like 10% in the polls at the time. Yeah. No one cared about the NDP. It was a fringe party. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the NDP became the only credible option. We had to rebuild the Wildrose almost from scratch. It was just absolutely hollowed out. Yeah. We had to rebuild it in no time. It was just a stunning, terrible political betrayal that it took me a very, very long time to forgive. I took it very personally, and I wouldn't even listen to her radio station, her show for years. Because I was still so angry.
I'm the same way, and I was living out east by then. I thought it was such a shocking thing.
I remember your interview actually with her. You were still on Sun News Network, and I remember when that played. I was sitting with some friends, and we watched it, and it was so spectacularly brutal. And we watched it on repeat because we were just broken by it. We felt so stabbed in the heart. I had known her for years. I went to university with her, and I didn't agree with every word she said, but I thought she was a bit of a hero. Yeah. And well, that's why it was so hard.
And she sold everything and everyone out. I like you, didn't talk to her. Look, I did take it personally as well, even though it was a political move. I felt it was a betrayal of so many things. And here she is now, 8 years later. I should note that in last night's speech, you don't hear this often, she said, I made a mistake. And let me play a clip from, when she won. We're recording this on the Friday. It's airing on the Monday. So this was Thursday night. Take a quick lesson. You don't often hear a politician talk about mistakes, but this was such a big mistake. Here, take a quick listen.
Occurred personal note, I want to thank Brian for showing leadership after I made a mistake in judgment in 2014. Learning from your example has prepared me for today, and this party will always owe you a debt of gratitude as one of the founders of this united Conservative Party. Thank you, Brian.
You know, she said a lot that she said she didn't go out in public for 3 years because she didn't want to face people. Mm-hmm. There was hate and anger, and she has said sorry 1,000 times. I think she means it. It's tough to know. I mean, if she wanted a political career, she had to deal with this enormous elephant in the room. Do you think she is genuinely sorry? I mean, she must be. It blew up in her face and derailed her. Can someone come back after that? Is it forgivable, or is it a life sentence when you do something that bad?
Look, 6 months ago, I would have said, a year ago, I would have said it was probably a life sentence. There's been talk about her for a while. You know, she actually announced she would run for the UCP leadership on the floor of the UCP's convention last November, and because she had a show for a couple months with the Western Standard, right. And she stunned us all on the floor on a Western Standard broadcast, saying, "Yeah, if Jason Kenney's gone, I'm going to run." And we just about fell out of our chairs. But there had been quiet talk about this for a while, and I thought that, I don't know, is people had largely forgiven her by then, but was the forgiveness conditional on, well, okay, she's a great radio host and she's got something out of the conversation, but it's conditional on her not ever going back into politics? Right. Or was it more carte blanche? Was it a broader forgiveness? Yeah. And as we saw Thursday evening, it turned out to be a deeper forgiveness. Yeah. I think some of that, though, was coupled in that, they had broadly forgiven her, but I think there was a lot of misgivings around trusting her again after what had happened. Mm-hmm. But I think she got over that by giving skeptical, particularly kind of former Wild Rosers, giving them something no one else would, giving them something as has been portrayed as radical as the Sovereignty Act, that no other major politician anywhere in the country outside of Quebec would ever fathom doing. And so by offering something so appetizing, she forced down the throat of those reticent Wild Rosers, they forced, even if they didn't forgive her, she still forced them to vote for her because no one else was offering anything like this.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.